Alright, welcome back for the next final installment of the Vienna portion of this campaign. There's a little bit of a glitch coming up. I ran into an issue where partway through this it stopped recording, so I had to go back and show the last section where it had stopped. So you'll notice there's a bit of a discontinuity from one section to the next. It's nothing major. It's just you'll notice with the
Where are the slaves?
some of the little
Where's
stuff
the
that
nest?
goes on that it'll be a little bit funky.
How didst thou enter?
I'll point out when we get to it what I'm talking about. It's a while.
Bring them down!
And as you can see in this one, we are storming a full-on Premier Chantry, not just the local little haven of a particular Tremere in town. There are three options you can go with here. There's the Gargoyle Lair, the Laboratory, and the Library. You can complete them in any order. You don't have to go one particular first. So I go from right to left, which actually is backwards from how they're numbered, but it doesn't really impact anything as far as gameplay goes. Other than in this particular case, as you'll see, I'm actually starting out with what's probably the most difficult one, but I'm also one who kind of looks at that as getting the rough part out of the way, so I don't really have a problem with it going through and hotkeying how I want to put my disciplines in this. And I choose Spirit Touch because I know, being a Tremere thing, we're going to be finding some weird shit to pick up, so I want to be able to identify it. I also, you'll see, I use the more powerful abilities I have picked up in this one because we're up against some nasty stuff, and why fight clean if you don't have to? So you'll also see I'm using the if you saw the text in the last one, I realized I had misnamed it. It's not the Alucard sword; it's the Ankern sword. I'm using it in this. You'll notice it is not the most accurate of weapons. I swing and miss a lot with it. Going forward, I'm going to try to do something to up my accuracy with it, just to make it more effective. But when it hits, it's a good weapon. It's just, it can be not the most reliable thing to go into battle swinging. That's actually part of the reason I equip it with Kristoff, not even just the blood drawing ability of it, but also the fact that he's probably my most accurate, highest dexterity. So put the weapon that is the least accurate with the guy that has the most potential to actually connect with it. As you see, it's not always drawing blood, but when it does, it's very helpful. I use a lot of the Lure of Flames and Theft of Vitae in this to weaken the Tremere we're up against. Because as you will see, we come up against some pretty funky abilities in this. At least once Kristoff gets knocked into torpor in this, but we're still able to defeat him, and I just bring him back with Awaken afterwards. So this is also where it's very useful, much like with Theft of Vitae. Although Theft of Vitae, you have to be within a certain range. With the Firestorm ability here, you can, as long as you can see it, and you can still fail. He does a couple of times fail with the hit, but as long as you can see the target, not even the character physically, but you as the player can see it, you can target them and drop fire flaming down on them, as you see here. We'll say I have it available hotkeyed there, but I don't really use Fireball much in this. I believe by the time I get to the end, I swap that out for Ring of Fire to keep to use when things are swarming me, which I should have been doing in this, knowing I was up against Tremere and those stupid little hoppers they like to summon. I should have already had that equipped, but live and learn. And I realize, as far as narrative goes in this, I should have gone with the gargoyle part of it first, because that gives me something that I'm going to want to talk about when we get to it going forward. But I might not give myself the time to say what I want to say with it. So then, as you see, this is what the Spirit's Touch does. Lets you identify what it is you picked up when it's an unidentified thing. We don't want that diseased vitae, so we get rid of that. Get over here close. I can't walk over and get it. I've got to already be standing there to pick it up. We do pick up some funky vitae in this, and except for one accidental, which might not even be in the playthrough you see going forward here. Except for that one accidental use, I don't use any of those because they have benefits as well as drawbacks. And that's one of those where, in my opinion, in these cases, the drawbacks outweigh the benefits of use. So,
Where are the slaves? Where is Aneska?
oh,
Tell me.
playing this, I'm gonna get a cigar going. So sorry if that picks up the sound of me getting it lit here, but I'm gonna be sitting here for a while, and I got the windows open. It's a relatively nice day for December in upstate New York, so let's sit and have a smoke.
I shall be far more.
Unfortunately, I can't find my cigar cutter, so I gotta cut the end off here with a little pocket knife, but that's alright.
By entrails.
First world problems. Now, it's not universal in this, but you'll notice as we go through, largely you can, when you look around the corner at targets to see what you're getting into, largely but not universally, you can tell the level of the Tremere by the color of their robes. Usually the red ones are the lower level, like the neonates and the apprentices. When you start getting into the regents and the lords, you start getting into more purple colored. That's not universal, but it is a pretty good rule of thumb. If you see somebody in a purple or another dark colored, that is somebody that you're gonna have a bad time with. And also, when they're ones you talk to, and you can see in the in a little cutscene when you talk to them, the more ornate their robes are. Likewise, the more powerful they are. I mean, kind of with that when we're talking about undead vampire wizards, but still wizards and wizards like their swag. So you'll see at the end of this. I won't throw anything away, but the couple of we run into in the final two sections at the end of them are ones that I will be talking about the characters, but also you'll notice they're in very ornate, unique outfits. And that's not just because they're named characters, they're also, you know, very prominent in the lore characters, so they wanted to make them more, ooh, there we go. Call lightning. They wanted to make them more distinct from these basically no-name cannon fodder you're up against. You know, for obvious reasons. If you're having a cutscene with a named character, you don't want him to look like every single other person you've come across in this. So there's our first use of Awaken. And yeah, getting hit by lightning will tend to do that to somebody, even if they're dead. Lightning tends to make you even better. So. I don't have it in this, but by the end of this, Kristoff will have the ability to do that himself. I don't use it a lot in most of the games, although it is, if you're up against a really good boss, or you're coming up against something you know is very powerful and you can see it around the corner, it does obviously even more damage than the firestorm thing does. So if you want to take somebody out without having to run the risk, it is a handy thing to have. And if you've noticed too, I want to point out a couple of friends of mine that have watched these, not on comments because I talk to them regularly, have asked why I'm giving all of the disciplines to Christoph. Without giving too much away, when you leave the medieval period, with one exception, and I won't get more into it than that, but after we leave the medieval period, you lose most of the rest of this coterie. So I don't want to be giving high level abilities and spending the XP on the characters. I mean, XP to make them useful now, but it's not really an investment in the future. Where, I mean, obviously Christoph is your player character, so you are going to have him the whole way through the game. But the other ones, you really don't. And the one that we do keep, he's pretty useful with the abilities he already has, so I don't really feel the need to sink new disciplines into him. Plus, he also is one who likes, you can probably tell what I'm talking about, he likes to spend his blood on the disciplines he already has. I'm not going to give him more blood-intensive abilities and have him be running out even more than he already does. So, yeah, I mean, okay, I'll give a little bit away where I'm talking about Willem here. He really, really likes to use his disciplines, and he already runs out of blood quite regularly. So I'm not going to give him the disciplines that he's going to be using all willy-nilly, and running his blood down and making me have to keep constantly feeding him. So I give those ones to Christoph because obviously, as me playing, I know when I want to use them, not when the AI just randomly decides to use a big power for no reason. Like, you noticed he likes to use potence to take out hoppers. And he likes to pop claws to take out very low level opponents, which both of those are just kind of pointless wastes of blood. So I'm not going to give him the opportunity to waste more. This mission is the last we have of one of our coterie members here, and I won't give away if you haven't played this game or can't already kind of figure out who it's going to be, because it's a very sad, interesting way that we lose him, lore-wise and stuff. It's a very cool way we lose him, but it still sucks because I love the character. But, yep, there we go, he's got to go. So once again, we've lost Christoph. So they're going to go take him out while I'm bringing Christoph back from the undead. Well, back to the undead, I should say. She's standing. You'll notice, too, I gave her a sword and shield in this one. In this kind of setup with the all the corners and buildings and all that, I've learned from past experience, having her with the bow and arrow, she's not useless, but it's a lot of wasted shots. She puts a lot of shots into the walls and things, which, I mean, it's the limitations of the AI in the game. It's not her, but I'm not going to give her a weapon that I know is not the most useful in this setting, so I spent the XP to up her strength and dexterity to where she can actually use a sword and shield now. And I also want to point out, as you've already seen Christoph get knocked into torpor twice, I have, like, as I mentioned at the start, I started him off a little more powerful than he really should be at this point of the game, because I want it to be a fun playthrough, not a slog. And he is still getting knocked out pretty regularly here, so that tells you what you're up against with some of this opposition. If you're not cheat coding with this, which I've kept to an absolute minimum. I've not used any cheat codes since I started the game. I just did it to start the game. You can really, really, really struggle with some of these, especially if you're not familiar with the game playing it the first time, and you do the wonderful of optimizing the wrong development trees of your characters. Like if you put too much into a discipline that turns out to not be the most useful of things, or if you put it into his skills and abilities rather than his disciplines, so that he's now weak with his disciplines, but he's a good fighter. Things like that, you can find out that you really made a mistake. So that's kind of why I did with him, is I want him to be effective without having to go through and like micromanage everything with him, and kind of knowing the game the game a little bit, which I did with the cheat codes, but as I said, I did that at the very beginning. I'm not doing it all the way through the game. And as I said, I've not used any of those codes to simplify anything since then. What you see is what you get for the development of the characters from here out. Nice thing I will say, if you haven't noticed with this game, because I haven't been showing much of the character development screens just to cut out time, because when you get in and start doing that, it can take you a while. Like you have, for every single point you take something up, you have to click. You can't hold down. There's no like rapid fire way to go through the character screen. So if you are, see there, he failed the firestorm. If you, if I was showing everything I was doing with the character development, sometimes I would be sitting like 10 to 15 minutes at a time in the character sheet going through, figuring out how I want to do it. And that does not make for an enjoyable playthrough to watch. You want to see the game, not the minutia of it, as far as I'm concerned. I don't like watching playthroughs like that, so I'm not going to subject you to it. But as you go through this, this is not like if you've played Vampire Bloodlines, where you get at the end of your every quest you do, you get a little bit of XP, which is kind of like on par with what you get for a tabletop. Like you get 8-10 XP at a time, like if you were doing the tabletop with a GM and stuff. This, you get XP for pretty much everything you do. Every character you kill, every little minion that you take out, every puzzle you solve, everything, even everybody you feed from, everything you do, you're getting a little bit of XP. So this is almost like you see in World of Warcraft, where you can go through and XP farm to get your character better. If you want to, if you're not worried about, dying and losing humanity, you can, every time you spawn into town, you can go around killing all the NPCs for the XP if you want, but you will lose a lot of humanity, but you'll get the XP. You don't see me doing that. You also don't see us feeding from the locals, which you can also do. That, if you get caught doing it, will bring the town watch down upon you. And if you kill the person, you lose humanity. And if you kill the town watch that's attacking you because they caught you drinking blood from a townsperson, you will also lose humanity, which I don't want to do. As you see, sometimes you have a hard enough problem keeping yourself from frenzying when you get into a fight and start losing damage. I've done playthroughs in the past where I didn't worry about that, and you're frenzying constantly. And you also lose some of the abilities you have if your humanity is too low. So you kind of gotta walk the line and keep your moral compass and keep your humanity up to really play this game properly. It also limits some of your dialogue options in the later game if your humanity gets too low. It limits what you can do in the game with options, with choices you have to make in some of the later stages. You can kind of force yourself into the quote-unquote bad ending without even realizing it by doing all this. It's very easy to lose, just like with the game, the tabletop game itself. Very easy to lose humanity, much harder to regain humanity.
More hideous experiments.
I loathe all mages.
So if you're a jerk at the beginning before you figure that out and you're going around killing people right and left, you can really put yourself at a disadvantage later on. So, knowing the game, having played it, I've beat this game probably at least a dozen times over the years. I know I won't say I know how to power level my way through the game, because I'm not doing that. But you do have the a little bit of knowledge of what you don't want to do as far as the story progression goes. A lot of the time, like here in the medieval, a lot of the time your dialogue options don't really affect the gameplay, but later on they start to, and you can lock yourself into choices you didn't mean to make, and lock yourself down a branch of the story that you didn't mean to. And the same thing with if you are not being smart with your gameplay as far as keeping your humanity up, you can lock yourself into a storyline and an ending that you might not want to have gone down. Which I'm going to be going with the quote-unquote good ending of this, which is why I'm keeping my humanity up and why I'm trying to play Kristoff the quote-unquote right way. But there are options as you go, and I will point out when they come up, and even though I'm not going to be doing them, I will try to explain what they lead to when we get to that. Which, that's a lot to say there for a simple thing, but I kind of want you to, like, if you're familiar with this game watching it and you're wondering why I'm playing it the way I am, or if you're not familiar with the game and you're watching it and thinking that this is the only way to play the game, or that I'm optimizing it, I'm only optimizing it as far as where I want the character's endings to be. Much like in Vampire Bloodlines, when you get to the end, you've got several options, and you can lock yourself into or out of those options depending on choices you make. And I don't want to lock myself out of the option that I want to go for, even if it might make the gameplay a little easier in the early stages. You'll notice too with the inventory as I'm going, you'll see I'm swapping blood around to them, and I'm not really using it. I'm trying to avoid having to stop and have them constantly feed on me, even though I'm going, with the ability to get more blood. You don't want to watch that, and as much as I like listening to these sound effects of Serena feeding, you don't really want to. You don't want to sit there for 5 minutes watching me go back and forth with the characters from me as I get more blood. So I'm giving it to them, and as they get low enough that it's a little bit of a concern, I'm feeding them. Which is kind of the normal way to do it, but the way I'd played for years a lot of the time was basically using myself as the blood bank, since it's so much easier for Kristoff to get blood. So I'm trying to avoid doing that. You've seen me do it a few times where I don't have the option, but now that I do, I'm trying to avoid doing that. Yeah, you see right here. I might not fill them all the way up, but I am trying to keep them at a functional level where they can use disciplines if they have to. It also makes it easier for them to not frenzy if they take damage if they're not low on blood, and there's more lightning. Oh yeah, they love that lightning. Yeah, just those 2 hits. There's half my hit points, and that's with me having, as I said, I have mentioned, as I did at the beginning with upping his stats. If you don't, and you keep his abilities, his ability to soak damage and stuff low, you can get killed by one of those bolts of lightning. Which, yeah, I kind of do get killed a few times anyway, but it's really not good for the long-term health of the rest of the party if the party leader and hard hitter keeps getting killed. Because if he gets killed, that means they're quite likely to get killed too. And you can start running into some real issues. Especially if you don't have those scrolls to awaken and you have not upped the awaken ability of those characters. You can find yourself with 1 perfectly healthy character and 3 dead coterie members and trying to make your way through the entire rest of a portion of a game with 1 character. I've done it many, many times. And it's not fun, especially when it just happens that that is your weakest character that you really don't want to be facing hordes of bad guys with. I'm kind of using Kristoff as my tank in this to soak the damage and focus the bad guys so the others aren't getting killed. Not that they don't occasionally, but I'm trying to avoid it. Yeah, the lords are the ones that really like to use the lightning ability on you. That's why I'm dropping fireballs on them and draining their blood from a distance. So we're at the end of this section of it. You'll see every one of these. I'll point it out in this one. I forgot to in the other one. Actually, this might be the first. Is this the first one I've gone through? I don't know. I've lost track. It's been a long day. No, it's not. By looking at the time, you pick up the little piece there, or cannulum piece, and go through this, and it takes you back to the foyer. You have to put that in the floor, as you see there. When you have all three of them, it opens up the final portion of this. And I go through this to where I go toward the final section here, and partway through the final section, or the final one of these rooms, is where, right there, is where it, partway through this was where it stopped recording. So this is a little bit different. You see the stuff we have, but as far as the gameplay went and stuff, it wasn't any different. What I did was I loaded in like I had just started and just went there first rather than go through the whole thing. Because as I said, you don't have to do it in any particular order. But part of the reason I saved this one for the third, even though it turned out to be, it is actually the easier of the three, is in this one we run into a very, I won't say very well known, but yeah, you notice I don't have my disciplines set up like I did before. I got to redo it. And I do put Flame Ring in. We do run into a named known character from the lore who I will explain a little bit when we get to it. We're running into, as you are about to see here, maybe not, might be the next little bit of this, but we are in where the Tremere are making gargoyles for the war. In the vampire lore, if you're not familiar with the game, the gargoyles are a thing. They look pretty much like you would expect in this game. They don't in some other ones. They are created through Tremere blood magic by combining magic and other clans, basically. Vampires from other clans are put through this blood ritual that turns them into a gargoyle. They can also embrace and make them the other way. Gargoyles can embrace and create other gargoyles. But for the most part, they are treated like the Tzimisce Shimase ghouls, in that they are kept dominated and under strict control by the clan, or by their creators and masters. They are not, for the most part, not independent. They are not out doing vampire things. They exist merely to be guardians of chantries and to serve as warriors and foot soldiers. In this case, the war with the Shimase. So, and as Eric said, he hates these accursed gargoyles. That's why I put the flame ring is. They hit hard, even with as powerful as Kristoff is. They don't drop anything, as you see, and they tend to swarm you. They have the ability of flight, they have skin like a rock, and they will swarm and rip you apart if you give them the opportunity. So I don't use it much, but I do have the ability, if it's getting to be where they're gathering around me too much and doing too much damage, I do have the ability to use the flame and damage them and knock them back. So I think at least once you do get to see me use it, but I end up using it not as much as I thought. Eric takes an unnatural amount of delight in killing gargoyles. And to get a little bit ahead, that is what he was doing in the bottom of Ardan's chantry there. They were in the process of trying to turn him into one of the clans that they use as a source for the raw materials to make gargoyles is the Gangrel. The other two are Nosferatu and Shimase, appropriately enough, since that's who they're made to fight. And you have different attributes and appearances of them depending on which clans they're used to make them. These ones, looking at them and looking at what happens in a bit at the end of this here, are probably made from Gangrel, and I would say Nosferatu. It's hard to tell. They don't get that in-depth with it here in the game and explain it, but just knowing the lore, that's probably what they are. They can use disciplines. They do have the disciplines of the clans they came from for the most part, and they have one of their own called Visceratica, which is like the ability to like flesh or to craft and mold stone, which might be something they got from the what do you call it? Shimase parentage, some of them have, but it's never really specifically stated in the lore. They also have the discipline flight. It's treated as a discipline. They're not naturally able to fly despite their wings, but through basically magic, using a discipline, they can fly. Yeah, I believe this is the end of this already. Yep, looks like it.
To the abyss with thee.
We are about to run into a Tremere character named Verstania, who is, I believe in the lore, she's a Hungarian Tremere, which accounts for the accent that she has here, which is a little different from what you've heard in the other ones. She is the master of the gargoyles. She's the one that came up with the rituals to create them and perfected their abilities, and is very, very, very loyal to her creations.
Cannot comprehend the forces thou hast in
She is a powerful, despite the fact that it seems like you killed her here, she does survive into the modern nights. She is a powerful sorceress, but she, above all, is loyal to her gargoyles. Does the best she can to train them, create them, and try to keep the rest of the clan from basically shitting on them every opportunity they get. And later on, when there's a uprising of the gargoyles to try to become more independent, she actually backs them versus the clan, and leads to one of the minor fractures of the Tremere over the years. So now we're done with that. We put that down just to show you, and then I'm going to pop right into back to the ending of this. There we go. So you miss, there's a little animation of the little magical ward coming up, or dissolving there. We go up, we pick up the journal here, and then it gets to the end game of this, which is a lot of dialogue, so we'll let it go. With minimal commentary, hopefully.
When the cat is away, the rats come out to play. The luck of the
Oh,
gods
I
is
will
with
say,
thee.
however, if
For
you
on
know
any
a
other
little bit
night,
of the
the
vampire
full
lore,
force of
and you
Tremere would have
know
dissolved thee into
of
slough.
Haus Etrius, which is the Tremere that are
Now,
loyal to the Sabbat
death
rather than
shall
the
be as
Camarilla,
vile
which
as
most of
thine
the rest of the
offences.
clan follows.
Where are
This is
the
that
slaves?
Etrius.
Where is Aneska?
He is, in the lore,
I have no time
he's
for
characterized
thee.
as
I
he's
must
very
return to the wall
self-serving
against
and
the
wanting
wiles of
power,
Hexe. Dost
and
thou
very
not
angry at
understand
the
my
fact that he is
charity
not
in
the head
allowing
of the
me to
clan,
flee with thy
that it was
miserable hides
Tremere
intact?
himself
Go now.
who diablerized Sala
us
and
the
became the head of the
slaves.
clan.
Or
He
look
thinks
to
it should have been
protect
him,
thine
which
own
leads
hide.
later on to him
What?
breaking with the clan and
Thy
joining the Sabbat,
temerity
because
is exceeded
power.
only by thy folly.
You see, he's very
Etrius is
arrogant,
beyond thy
very
harm.
sure of his own
He
abilities.
is not. But prithee wait, for Eric can ensure that Etrius is forever beyond all harm. I shall remember thy insolence, ancient Gangrel.
There is no need for further bloodshed. I wish thy Bruges slaves and the mortal woman Aneska from the October caravan, and we shall leave this house in peace.
And if I give them not? Then I shall pop thy balded pate between me teeth like an overripe melon. I warn thee, Gangrel.
Here we go.
Thou hast
This is where
nearly
we
completed
lose
the
one of our
cycle of
coterie
transformation
members,
in
who
Arden's chantry.
really didn't have
Now,
nearly
I
long
finish
enough, in my
his work.
opinion.
Behold the power of the Tremere!
I rise.
I don't know why Kristoff says that line. He always says that in a playthrough of this. They make it look like it's just hit him with a lightning bolt. There is way more to it than that, but as I've said many times, video game. And there is Eric the Gargoyle. You have to kill. There's no reason. You have no option other than to kill him.
So
Rest in peace, my friend. Thy wrongful death will be avenged.
thou hast killed the Gangrel? Is this how Kristoff rewards his faithful allies? Now, I will sheathe my fangs.
Now this goes relatively quick, although brutal. This, if you don't have... the two of them, however, are to a certain extent able to... Once one freezes here, they're able to take him out.
I am weak with lack of precious blood. Is he dead?
Curse thee, boy! I have suffered the loss of...
So that's 3 times in this, Kristoff was knocked out.
I have suffered the
It could have been much, 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 much worse.
soul to retain some spark of enchantment in a world turned to dross. I have suffered the maddening serenity of the dying salute, but I will not suffer.
I don't know why they spell it and pronounce it salute. It's S-A-U-L-O-T, salute. I don't know why they misspell it
Hear
and
me,
mispronounce it.
Promethean! Thy precious Aneska is not...
He's the antediluvian head of Clan Salubri that they found and diablerized, although pretty much explicitly stated in lore he allowed himself to be
They
diablerized
took the caravan and all therein.
for
The Zamitsi
reasons that
are
I
the
won't get
real
into.
foe in this world. Even as thou waste my time, the fiends plot to burn the world down around us all. Now go and disturb us.
And as
no
you
further.
see, he went all the way through all this stuff in Vienna, and the fight with him, and all this other stuff, for no reason. Aneska and the slaves never made it past Prague.
And has it brought me one step closer to Aneska? Has
So
it
you've
gained
been
me
being
a
played
jot
the whole
more
frickin' time.
humanity?
I cannot answer thee.
Oh, Kristoff, my heart aches for thee.
So we go pick up all the stuff that Eric had and mournfully carry it back because we lost our friend. And head out. And unlike normal, I will do the end of this that is the lead into the next mission. Just because I thought that was a better close to this, kind of a, this is what you're getting into with the end game here, rather than just abruptly ending this. So we go back and talk to Orvis, and you see here a wonderful stupid little clip. I don't know why he went that way. But then you run into the, can't get through your coterie members because they won't freaking move. There we go. So we do go talk to him. It's a relatively quick. I do go and sell the things we have and try to see if there's more stuff we want to get, but I cut out the sale portion of this. Then we have to make our way back to Prague.
We give thanks to thee. To show our gratitude,
Also,
we
I
give
did
thee
check. You can't.
enchantment that will
You
deflect
can't
blame. The
read the
should
Journal of
prevent
Etrius.
cleansing
I was kind of hoping. I thought I remembered you could, but I was wrong.
And thy gift
Maybe it would
should
have some
prove
interesting
helpful in
lore
the
stuff in it
fiery
or something.
future
But
we all
nope, it's just
face.
something you pick up. So we've done with that. We do go. I do go over to the blacksmith, but I don't show the whole thing with the trade. I did, if anybody is curious, I did at one point go into Orsi's courtyard and see if you can talk to anybody in there, if there's anything happens. No, the 3 female ones, they're there, but they just are standing there and don't talk to you or do anything or acknowledge that you're there. You can click on them, but nothing happens. I was kind of hoping you might get like an angry conversation with them or something for having foiled their sire's plans, but nope, nothing. And as you hear, something's going on. Ooh, that doesn't look good.
What madness is this?
The battle has begun. The city is under siege by vampires.
I would have sworn
and
Prince
mortals
Brandel
alike.
died at a later
Prince
point in the
Rudolph
lore
is
than
slain.
this, but I could
The
have been
Zamitzi
remembering
within
wrong, or
Visserad
that
Castle
could have I
been
could have
revealed to
even
the
read
townspeople.
something that was
Even
wrong.
now,
It's possible.
mounts a
They've
burning campaign
retconned and
against them
revised
and all
the history of
kindred.
this so many
The
times over the
castle
years.
will not stand. We have won.
Aneska may be prisoner of the Zamitzi. We must fly to Visserad
So when I
Castle.
go to the next one, I
Thou
will
hast
be
grown
stopping
strong,
by the
child.
shops to see if I can pick
Thou
up
hast
anything
learned
good
to
before we
harness
go
the
into the
gifts I
final
have
battle. I
bequeathed
might skip
thee.
over that and
But
just
this
go right
evil
straight to
is far
Visserad.
greater than
But
any
that
thou
will be
hast
the
known.
end game of the medieval
Visserad
portion of
is
this
a
game.
tomb.
So
I
that
forbid
is
a
going to be
venture
a big
there,
one.
and all who
And I don't
enter
think
will
it also
surely
has a
die.
lot of cutscene dialogue in it,
already
so there'll be
dead,
quite a
thanks
bit
to
of
thee.
dialogue to
Or
sit through
didst
and
thou forget?
unpack.
Now I go.
Wait, Kristoff, I join thee.
Sorry, Ekaterina. I cannot abandon him now.
Poor fool, Wilhelm. I thought thou wouldst teach Kristoff.
So we're
Now
pretty much
I
at the
see
end of
thou
this.
art the
I believe that is
and
the end of
Kristoff
it, so
the
I'm
teacher.
going to, as always, sign
Mayhap
off.
his
Thank you for
futile
watching.
quest shall lead thee to thy demise.
Please give a like and subscribe if you can, and we will see you on the next one. Later.